Hello and welcome. My name is Paweł Piwosz and you are listening to Last Week in IT, the weekly podcast. Together with my fantastic co-hosts, Jakub Siwiecki and Jan Mazurek, we'll give you our perspectives on recent news, events, announcements and many more. And we do it in our own style. Join us and enjoy the show.
I'd like to warmly welcome you to another episode where we explore discussions and exchange our personal views. And in our previous episode, Jan expressed his interest in discussing working conditions and aspects that can motivate employees. Jan, are you still eager to dive into this topic, or maybe you had changed your heart?
Yeah, of course. Hello, everyone. Kuba, you remembered we discussed that SysOps DevOps report, and there was this information about aspect of what motivates people, and that money is the biggest motivator, right?
Yes, that was one
And
of the conclusions. Indeed,
yeah,
yeah.
and actually, come to think of it, I've given it a bit of a thought, and I was wondering, in that case, if money is the biggest motivator, like how can smaller companies who don't have that big of a budget attract employees, right? They still have open positions, and for some reasons, people still choose to work in those other companies, not necessarily only in very big corporations. So there must be something that attracts people from the market to join various different companies, not only for the reason of money, right? So I was like wondering, it's an interesting topic to discuss, like working conditions and discuss the aspect of motivation. And I think as we all have 15 or more years in the IT industry, I'm sure we have interesting observation that we can share with our viewers in regards to what can motivate the people and what can be the reason to choose one company over the other. Now, Pavel, you did mention that you had even accepted the offer with the salary lower than the one that you had
Yes.
prior to that, right? So money was not the factor.
Yeah, exactly. So in my case, money was completely not the factor, right? So it was like almost 30% less. So it's a huge change, right? But the main factor for me was to first escape from the not very nice environment, let's say, and second, change to something what will be, mm, let's say, valuable, what will be uh, good for me to grow, and also what will allow me to save my position. Let's in the future, right? Because this is not only about today; it's also about tomorrow. Right?
So let me ask you, maybe not necessarily an IT related question, but a thought provoking one. If you would need to go to a restaurant, do you prefer to go to a restaurant that has the best food, but you have to wait 2 hours for the table to be served, and then you need to wait one additional hour for the waiter to eventually spot you? Or do you prefer to go to a restaurant that maybe doesn't have the best food, but at least the service is better, and you feel that you are like a customer and that your needs are taken care of? You receive the card. A few minutes later, the waiter comes, asks whether you want some drinks, and then comes again with the food and so on and so forth. What would be
Right,
your
that's
preference?
that's quite interesting question, and I will say it depends, right? If I want to eat something really like spectacular, probably I will be, able to wait, right? If I want to eat something because my train is, departing in 15 minutes, probably I will not stay there. So there are different factors for different reasons and different, selections which we make in this specific point of time.
Jakub, what about yourself?
Well, probably I would just like stay at home and cook by myself. But I know this is like a B option.
Yeah.
A B option.
For those of you who don't know, Jakub is an excellent cook and he does really amazing food by himself.
Which is completely a lie, but thank you, Jan. Um, but really, I think like I know that you're trying to show some point by like choosing A or B, but it's just my mind is just like it's not accepting this reality, because like I see like definitely many more, let's say, variables in this equation to make a decision, not only those that you mentioned. So I would, for instance, prefer to check my friends that I like. I try to spend some time with them, not just to eat. So I would probably pick up this one, and I think it's connected with maybe not with your statement, and maybe not with your reasoning, but I would say that it's connected with how I perceive how people choose when it comes to the workplace or generally the career and so on. Like there's like so many variables to take into consideration, not only
So,
one to this kind of food or like serving like quickly or not serving. Like it's usually, at least from my experience and those people that I know, like life is a bit more complicated. Let's call it this way.
yeah, but what I'm only trying to show is the case that it's not only about money or no money, right? And that's exactly what I was hoping that you will say. I mean, both you and Pavel, that
You're welcome.
thank you so much, that you will give this additional variety, right? It's not only money, no money. There is always other things. And I know a friend who is working like very big enterprise of an organization, and his department was being sold out to a different vendor, and people were kind of being afraid of when you have the support of big organization, you feel more safe, you feel more secure. Now people will be transferred to a smaller entity. They were kind of afraid that things will change, no longer this big support, and they started to look actively on situation and other companies on the market. And the management wanted to counteract it with saying, "Give us all of your opinion, what you would like to have in the new company, and we will then, out of your suggestions, create a survey, and then you will vote. From the survey, we will select the things that will have top three things, the most votes from those top from the whole list. Those top three items will be available in the new company." So people provided options: foosball table, better chairs, new monitors, air conditioning in the office. I don't know, stuff like that. And then, as IT people can be very creative, they went a bit further with their ideas. So in the end, once the survey was created from all of the options, people started to vote. The number one option from the survey was Naked Thursdays. And surprisingly, that was not introduced in the new company.
But
However,
Wonder
was
why.
it like before remote or because like probably it's much easier, yeah, nowadays to introduce such.
true
Especially
that,
with young dynamic team. That will be also quite a. Oh right. Yeah. The point here is that in the report we see that the factor or trigger for the change of your work is mainly a higher salary, right? And this is like 90%. The second option doesn't matter what it is right now, is like half of it. And we mentioned this some time ago, right, in the previous episode, that when you can just check some box, it's easy, right? And it's obvious that this will be a higher salary. But why people really choose the companies? This is the question. Why people prefer to go to startups, not the big enterprises, or in the opposite, right? Um, we can say that, for example, I don't know. I know that I can be promoted in big company. I can have more and more and more, but I prefer, and this may sound even as a stable place to work, but I prefer startup because there is no this
Hierarchy.
governance hat hierarchy, and I can do things, not just ask if I can do things, etc., etc. There are many factors, right?
Yeah. So I was talking to my cousin some years ago, and I told him, Sławek, I envy you. You are a car mechanic. You're not a junior car mechanic. You're not a senior car mechanic. You're not a lead car mechanic, right? You have your own garage. You have your own workshop. If you will fix 5 cars in a day, fine. If you will fix 10 cars in a day, fine, right? So some people have this approach and attitude. And for me, for example, for myself, whenever I do a conference appearance, a presentation, a training, I just introduce myself that I'm a business analyst. I don't tell my full title. I could also tell my military grade or my education as well. But what's the point, right? No, I'm just a business analyst, and that's it, right? But I have this and that amount of year of experience, and I don't need to brag about various different titles.
Well, I remember when I was studying, I remember one of the lecturer, or the professor, and well, when he was introducing himself, and he did a lot because I checked like PhD in I think Canada or somewhere else, some multinational cooperation when it comes to some studies, research, um, many things that he could share with us as an introduction. And guess what? He completely like he started only like I have 2 kids, one dog, and I live in this city. And he said, "This is who I am. The rest you can check in the web or any other place." And that was something that definitely like opened the conversation. I would say maybe not conversation because like it was a lecture, but definitely it was like a catcher for us, for
Mhm.
everyone who was sitting over there. And that's interesting because it was like a natural thing, right? Like there is a person, and he started introducing himself, sharing just like who is this person, and I remember, and he added as well that he ran marathons because that was like very important for him. But coming back to our topic, regards money and the study that we discuss, I came across another study, and the study was done by My Perfect Resume, and they revealed that 42% of respondents claim low earnings would decrease their job satisfaction. So it was not like, like 100% said like definitely I would be dissatisfied. No, 42% said it would decrease their job satisfaction, not that they would leave the work or the company. And additionally, McKinsey study checked as well compensation, and compensation was ranked as eight factor or reason people would consider leaving their job or they position. So
What
like
do
money
you remember?
matters.
What was top three?
I don't remember. I would need to check.
Okay, that
Uh,
would be interesting to know.
That could be
Yeah.
interesting. I have some assumptions, but I would need to come back to this study. Anyway, like money matters, of course, but like it's likely not the most crucial factor, and I would argue that people preferences like vary greatly, and that's the challenge for everyone, for because company needs to offer something, right? Like it would be great to be flexible to offer to everyone whatever everyone wants, but probably it's not possible. So
Well,
they need to find some common things.
I remember what Jim Carrey said, that he wishes that every person would have money, every person in the world, because maybe only then they would realize that happiness does not lie within the money. And Arnold Schwarzenegger seconded him in that, saying that money does not bring him happiness because he has now $80 million in the account, and he is as happy as when he had $40 million. Right? So But of
I would
course,
like to try, with
yeah. I mean,
14 pills.
As
I
far as
heard
I
that.
know, both of them, like, they have a bit different position than
True,
like it.
true. Although I heard that money can spoil you, and I would like to find this out myself, firsthandly. Just I can sacrifice. So if any of our listeners has like a really big bag of money that is just lying around and you don't know what to do with it, then I can check how it will influence me, whether at all. But definitely, I would have to say that.
Still, you can, borrow. There are loans, so
But then I need to repay. However, what I want to say is that we've all, been working in different companies, and I guess in different companies, we were motivated and we were attracted by different things. And I think also that motivation greatly depends on the place where you are in life. What is your environment like? Whether you are, I know a good colleague of mine who was working for a big IT company for 6 or 7 years without any kind of a promotion, and he was saying that that's exactly what he wants, because where he is at the moment and what with the whole turbulence that is happening in his life, he does not want to have more responsibilities, more like visibility and higher position, because he wants to now focus on calm peace of mind and just do the work that he is doing with the projects that he is doing, and he's not interested in anything else. So, not always money is the factor, not always growth is the factor. Sometimes it's also about the peace of mind.
Yeah, that's true. And what is quite interesting here? I had a feeling that the results can be a little bit, uh,
Deceiving.
let's say, yeah, because we have kind of bias in IT, right? Everyone is saying that IT salary in IT is very good, very high. We always want to change because of the salary, right? Right, and this is like a perpetuum mobile a little bit, right? So if everyone, it's like a buzzword, really,
but
and
IT or money?
um,
Both.
money in IT.
Oh, money, IT. Okay.
All right. The thing which I want to touch in kind of the end of our episode, because we are discussing this topic for quite a moment now, is another factors which are selected by people during in this report. So, for example, the prestige of the company. It looks like it doesn't matter for people, right? And another thing which is kind of funny, that the benefits different than money are also very low in the rank. So only less than 8% of people say that benefits will have some
Convince them.
influence. Yes. So
Fruity Tuesday, right?
Fruity Tuesday, Naked Fridays will not work probably as well. So this is also quite interesting, that maybe according to what you said, Kuba, about the different reports, maybe it is special about this area, about this industry, right? We are kind of spoiled, maybe even, right, for last like
10
dozen
years or
years,
more.
yeah. And that's why this results, maybe because it was the easiest way to select, but that way or another, I'm not sure if this is really representatives for the let's say workforce market at all, right? So that's my thought.
Okay. Um, well, it triggers some neurons in my brain because in psychology we have something that we call vitamin model, and it is strictly connected with what we are discussing right now, guys. That in occupational psychology, in workplace, we have vitamins, different kinds, like some vitamins that we need to have. If we won't receive them, we won't get them, then it will cost us our life. Like, it's not, we cannot accept it. Some vitamins are fine, you can just take them and it's a bit better, you will feel better. But if you don't get them, you can live without them. right? And I believe this is like a great illustration of what people needs and what people don't need. So there's many factors, but probably for some people there are like some of those vitamins that are essential, and the question is which one. So any like clear thought, because I have from our discussion a feeling that it's quite difficult, taking consideration that people differ, to decide which are the most important and which are not the most important for all people. That
Yeah,
not
and
only DevOps but all.
enough to say for me, every change was reasoned differently. So that even can be different for one person. It's
I've,
about now and me, right?
but I think it's very important to, before any kind of taking part in the recruitment process, is to do this self-assessment and to perform an analysis, to be self-aware where I am at the moment, where I want to be, what motivates me, what helps me to get up from the bed in the morning, and what do I expect from my life, like where I would like to be 5 years from now. I know it's a cliche question that sometimes can appear on the technical interview, but it's
Thank you
really,
for saying that.
yeah. I've actually, I was asked that question on my one of my interviews for a QA position. I said in 5 years time I want to be a business analyst, and exactly 5 years passed on 29th of June. Since 1st of July I was a business analyst, exactly almost to the day. I was straight to the point. So sometimes be careful what you wish for, but it's really important to make that self-assessment, self-analysis, and to actually realize, if you want to switch a job, if you want to take part in the recruitment process, then make sure that you are not wasting your time, you are not wasting recruiters' time, that you make conscious
Yes,
decisions with your career development, with your career progression. And I think
that's true.
this is the first step that we all should look into. And I think that's also a good bridge towards our next episode, when actually we will be talking about the recruitment process in the IT world. So we will share with you on our next episode some ideas or some other cliche questions regarding
That's true.
recruitment process in the IT world.
Yeah, and I have kind of a call to action for our listeners. I've done this exercise a couple of times, and it's really nice one. Create the mind map for your motivators to work. This will give you really nice picture of what you want, where you are, and where you want to be.
To sum up, so like know yourself and know your expectations.
And know that the next episode will be next week, right? So see you there.
Take good care, everyone. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
And that's it for today. This was Last Week in IT. Thank you for listening, and please join us for the next episode. Follow us on social media, subscribe and comment. If you agree, disagree, or just want to say hello, we are waiting for you. Stay tuned, stay IT.